Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next, we have approval of the agenda. Is there a motion?
I move approval of our agenda.
Thank you. Is there a second? Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And the motion carries. Now we have approval of the minutes of our work session and regular business meetings of October 26, 2021. Is there a motion?
Yeah, I can move that the minutes from the work session and regular business meetings of October 26, 2021 be approved as presented.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign, and the motion carries. Brings us to public participation portion of our meeting. This is an opportunity for members of the public to address the board regarding board agenda items or other matters of concern. And we did have 3 individuals request time to address the board. First, Lolly Hawes. Yeah, please come on up to the podium, Lolly, and thank you.
Well, good evening. I am Lolly Hawes. I'm the Chief Administrator for Green Hills AEA, Area Education Agency. Thank you for allowing me to speak with you this evening. I am here tonight because I know that later on your board agenda you are going to be voting on a new board member for the Green Hills AEA, Area Education Agency, who will represent Council Bluffs Community School District on our board. We have 3 board members of our 9 actually who serve all or part, well, not all each takes some part of Council Bluffs and are all great board members. Ms. Jake Powers is one of our board members who represents part of Council Bluffs, and then Mr. Ed Gams has just a little corner of the north part of Council Bluffs School District, and we have had Mr. Randy Brown as a board member representing another large section of your school district for 34 years.
Wow.
We are really sad to see Randy leave us. He's decided that it's time, to go. But he has been an amazing, insightful, thoughtful partner, very ethical person, and a very balanced board member who looks at the needs of Council Bluffs and our agency as a whole, and always has been a thoughtful, wonderful leader on our board. We're sad to see him go. But tonight, a new leader has stepped forward, so I want to thank Dr. Millo. I think you were responsible for recommending her. Julie Smith has put her name forward as a candidate to be on our AEA board representing what Randy has been representing in your school district. So I'm here tonight to encourage you to endorse that and to tell you that I had an opportunity to meet Julie for the first time about a month ago, a little over a month ago, and talk with her, and I just left being very impressed and confident that she'll represent you well and she'll represent the interests of all of the work and efforts and endeavors that our agency undertakes on behalf of your district and on 36,000 children in Southwest Iowa. So I'm here tonight to just tell you that I'm very hopeful that you will vote to endorse Julie on our board, and thank you, and thanks to Julie for being willing to commit that time. I look forward to coming back. I'll be back with a few members of our team and perhaps some of our board members to talk with you in January about the work of the AEA and give you some data and some information about the number of people, the amount of money, the different services that your staff here and your children here in Council Bluffs are taking. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Look forward to hearing more from you in January. Next is Francis, and Francis, I'm not going to attempt your last name, I'm sorry. But if you could tell me what it is, that would be great.
It's Mierzwa, M-I-E-R-Z-W-A, 213 West Ferndale Drive, Council Bluffs, Iowa, 51503. I'm here today to express some serious disappointment in both the timing and the quality of the unmasking change policy. Specifically, after I had some time, I'm a busy mom, like many folks here, busy parent. I'm exhausted of this pandemic. I've had enough. It's not over. If you watched tonight's news, you got a reminder of that too from the Douglas County Board of Health. Cases are increasing. At any rate, I just want to share with you that two things. The timing is just completely astounding, I guess is the best way to phrase this. Before the vaccines can be effective in the children and the parents that want them, we're unmasking in the schools. That's 5 weeks minimum. If they could get masked, if a kid could get masked today, it's another 3 weeks for the second, and another 2 weeks to have maximum efficacy. And for some reason, there was a decision to do some unmasking. That in itself is somewhat questionable. Secondly, the quality of the metrics that we're looking at here in this matrix are just atrocious. The reasons given were that school cases, there were 0 of 8 different schools, 0 cases in 8 different schools. What's missing there is the denominator of 16 schools total. And the data that's in this packet doesn't even say that there's 8 schools. It says there's 6 schools that have 0. So there's some questionable balances in this. Vaccine availability, like I mentioned, it's given as a reason that we move forward now. Again, that's going to be 5 weeks from when a kid can get vaccinated to have efficacy. Community cases were quoted here as trending downward. That's not the case. We're at 15.3% positivity in the community. It's trending upward. And for some reason, I don't know why this is something that's still so surprising to folks. We're trending upwards right now. It's not a time. It's not appropriate. This matrix, this decision matrix, guys, I hate to tell you, this wouldn't pass a high school science fair. The quality in this, the decision points, and where it's getting its information, it's getting self-reported information. I'm just wondering, are we doing self-reporting information on truancy? No, we're not. I mean, this just doesn't make any sense. So I'm going to appeal to the board to please at least cool your heels, maybe rethink this, and maybe adjust the timing of when you want to do some unmasking so that parents who want to get their children vaccinated, like myself, can do so and have efficacy so we can rejoin our schools, we can rejoin the classrooms and get back to proper learning. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lisa Lima?
Hello, I'm Lisa Lima from 1000 South Main Street here in Council Bluffs. I wanted to just say that I am a pro-mask parent. I do think that rescinding the masks is too soon. The children are just now able to start getting shots, and that's if they can get an appointment. I mean, I made an appointment for my daughter, and she'll be completely vaccinated by Christmas, but that's weeks and weeks away, just as Fran stated. This is way too soon, and the kids are not going to wear the masks if they don't have to. If they see their friends not wearing them, friends tell them they don't have to, they won't. My daughter even said that a student of her, or a classmate of hers, was asking why kids are even getting shots. So this means parents are not talking to the kids, not telling them what is important and how they can best protect themselves. I wear a mask everywhere I go because I need to protect my daughter that is not vaccinated. I want to protect my parents that I go visit that are elderly. This is, I believe, just too soon. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. That concludes our public participation portion of our agenda, and next up is the superintendent's report. Dr. Murillo?
Thank you, Mr. LaFerla. At this time, I'd like to invite Ms. Ostrowski to the podium. Tonight, we will be celebrating American Education Week, and we will be recognizing several of our own. So, Ms. Ostrowski?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Murillo. We have invited, as Dr. Murillo said, some special guests here tonight as we prepare for a special week that celebrates public education throughout the country. It's sponsored by the National Education Association. To begin tonight, I'd like to invite Council Bluffs Mayor Matt Walsh, who would like to make a special presentation to us tonight. Mayor Walsh.
Thank you, Diane. I just want to take a second to thank the incumbent members of the school board, those that are staying on and those that are going to move forward. this is a tough, tough job, and never tougher than during the pandemic. So I think you've been thoughtful and considerate, and the students' best interests are in your heart. And so thank you for what you're doing. Congratulations to the new members of the school board. I put an award up there on, and I don't know what I'm going to do with it after this. It looks like the award night, but the City of Council Bluffs and the Council Bluffs Community School District formed a 2080 agreement to develop the free Wi-Fi for the district students. A committee known as the Council Bluffs Area Wi-Fi Consortium assembled, and the first phase of Blink was completed in 2015. Through the partnerships that made Blink possible, Council Bluffs students and families benefit every day from free Wi-Fi network as they use their school-provided Chromebooks to access their school work at home. When the pandemic hit, this group answered the call to rapidly expand the network to more areas of our school community to help ensure the connectivity for students. Blink continues to be a community-wide effort. No tax dollars have been used. And while the project is led by the City of Council Bluffs and the Council Bluffs Community School District, it is supported by many community partners who have contributed funds, time, materials, labor, and expertise. Blink partners include Google, the Iowa West Foundation, Charles E. Lakin Foundation, the Council Bluffs Area Chamber of Commerce, Echo Group, M-Space, Mid-America Energy, Miller Electric, Ruckus Wireless, SmartWave Technologies, Unite Private Networks, Bluffs Electric, the City of Carter Lake, and OPPD. The award is from the Technology Association of Iowa, and Council Bluffs was chosen as the Technology Community of the Year last week in Des Moines. So. Congratulations for your foresight. And then I want to read a proclamation for American Education Week. City of Council Bluffs, Iowa Office of the Mayor Proclamation. Whereas education provides young people with the knowledge, experience, and confidence they need to have a productive future and contribute to society. And whereas our community can be proud of all school district staff members who work tirelessly to serve children in safe, collaborative, and innovative schools. And whereas the Council Bluffs Community School District partners with parents, organizations, and businesses to provide more choices and more opportunities for the young people of our community. And finally, whereas American Education Week provides the opportunity to celebrate our local school districts and to thank individuals who are making a difference by ensuring that every child can achieve more and be prepared for success after high school. Therefore, I, Matt Walsh, Mayor of the City of Council Bluffs, Iowa, do hereby proclaim November 15th through November 19th of 2021 as American Education Week in the City of Council Bluffs, Iowa. And I encourage all citizens to demonstrate pride in our schools and value the contribution education makes to the vitality of our community. With the seal of the City of Council Bluffs, I do hereby proclaim. Thank you again.
I'm sure we can find a way to celebrate this award and take some good pictures and promote this wonderful honor. Thank you, Mayor.
It's a little heavy, so don't.
Oh, okay, I'll be careful. Don't knock it off.
Like 30 pounds.
Good, good, good. Worth its weight. All right, another way we commemorate American Education Week is to celebrate those who dedicate their time and their talents to ensure our students are all safe, supported, and successful. This includes all members of the Council Bluffs Community School District team. On the board table for our current board members and then those who will be joining the board later, we have a few gifts for you. Please enjoy an American Education Week cookie and a pack of note cards that feature some of the student artists that you see in the boardroom tonight and that were showcased during an art show prior to this meeting. It was a wonderful turnout. Very proud children and their families. Dr. Murillo, would you join me at the podium? As we celebrate your collective volunteer service as a board to our school community, it's time to say thank you to 3 members as they prepare to transition their seats to their successors. Erin Johnson and Teresa Hardiman stepped up to the plate this fall as they graciously applied to serve interim positions on the Board of Education. You both jumped right in, faithfully participated in meetings and discussions, and made your mark on our school district. We are grateful for your service this past several months and invite you to remain involved in our schools. Thank you. And Dr. Murillo has a presentation for you if you'd each come on. We're going to take lots of pictures tonight. Is anybody else smiling as they're taking the picture? It's habit. Since 2012, Dr. Jill Agress has played an instrumental role in service to students, staff, and all families of the Council Bluffs Community Schools. We would like to celebrate you, Dr. Agress, in your service and have prepared a brief video to showcase your contributions and share our appreciation to you. Please watch your screens.
When I think about you, Dr. Agress, I think about a courageous, strong woman who provided a lot of leadership over the years here in Council Bluffs on the school board. I've enjoyed working with you, and I'm very thankful for the time that I've been able to spend and learn from you and grow as a superintendent.
Dr. Agress, I'm so welled up with mixed feelings today. It's been my honor to serve with you these last 8 years, and I consider you one of the top 3 influencers in my life as a board member with this district. You're always a genuine, authentically kind, and considerate person.
Jill, you are going to be missed on the school board. I have so much respect for your advocacy for the children and families and staff of our school district, not just on the board and at the board table, but in the way that you use your expertise as a healthcare professional.
When the pandemic arrived, you really stepped up and provided leadership for the cabinet and me. We were working on a return to operations plan, our return to learn plan, and we asked if you would review those plans and provide feedback. Your feedback really helped us put together a solid plan that made our staff and students and families feel safe in returning to school.
When all around has been loud, you have turned the opposite. You have brought the temperature down in the room by your calm conversations.
To serve the children, families, and staff of our district, you're going to be greatly missed. Thank you for all of your years of service.
My first year here in Council Bluffs, you were on the board, and you were very supportive and shared a lot of wisdom with me that I'll hold forever. I just want to tell you best wishes. Thank you so much for your time, your leadership, and your support on the board.
You have meant so much to me regarding how you present yourself. You have caused me to find my center and to calm myself by your quiet conversations. And for that, I am greatly appreciate your service. Thank you.
We did a video so we could get through those comments. There we go. And Dr. Ogress's husband, Lauren, is here this evening, too. Lauren, want to wave?
We borrowed him a lot.
Board members' families serve as well, right? Am I right? Mm-hmm. Oh, please.
My husband will vouch for those that don't know me. It takes a lot to make me speechless. I prepared just kind of a thank you, and I wanted to have a moment to say a few words. So, Mr. Wilson, can you start the timer, please?
2 minutes.
It has been my great honor to serve the Council Bluffs Community School District and the community as a whole. As a member of the board, I have personally witnessed the individual successes of students and the accomplishments of the district. I couldn't be more proud to have been a part of each and every milestone. I want to thank my husband and my daughter for allowing me the space to dedicate the time needed to serve in this important role. I also want to thank Dr. Murillo, the Board of Education, the faculty, staff, students, and the community for trusting in me during my time of service. Over the last 8 years as a board member, we have continued to develop the network of relationships within our local community, resonated as vocal advocates for children, and upheld the reputation of the Council Bluffs School District. The work of board members is many, including balancing budgets, tasks of listening, the desire to hear from communities in which they serve, and the decision-making processes. As a board, we have consistently listened and demonstrated professionalism, even in times of discord when passionate issues arise. I believe in science. As a frontline healthcare worker and an educator at the highest level, I have seen firsthand how misinformation can have a direct effect on lack of factual knowledge or critical thinking skills that can arise and raise barriers while voicing opinions and attempts to impact evidence decision-making. As a board, we have remained constant in decision-making about the priorities we are elected to uphold, which is educating our students. I believe in the benefits and values of a public education. As a board, we are charged with many tasks to ensure that every student has the knowledge, skills, and abilities to be a productive citizen who is future ready, and the mental well-being to be socially and emotionally prepared for what lies ahead. The number one priority is to keep students safely in an educational environment and engaged in learning. Even in times of opposition, this should always be the focus. I want to thank the board and the administration for allowing me to share my knowledge and trusting in my council throughout my time as a board member. The Council Bluffs Community School District has achieved more, including excellence because of dedication and hard work. A quote from Maya Angelou: "You can only become truly accomplished at something that you love." As a parent of a graduate of this district and as a board member, I have seen the motivation and drive in the eyes of our administration, teachers, and staff. I have seen the love that you all have for children. You are the reason for their successes. All our kids, every child, defying gravity, mission critical, change for good. Thank you again for the opportunity to serve you. I look forward to hearing about the future successes of the district and wish you all the best in the years to come. And roll Tide.
Thank you, Dr. Ogress. In the spirit of American Education Week, we are also going to be celebrating some pretty outstanding students tonight. District auditions for Allstate Band, Orchestra, and Chorus, as well as the Iowa Junior Honors Orchestra, were held on October 23rd. We are proud to have 6 Council Bluffs student musicians represent us at the 75th Annual Allstate Music Festival in Ames coming up on November 20th. Lynx Orchestra Band Director Dan Black is here tonight, as well as Chorus Director from Thomas Jefferson, Mr. Travis Walker. Have I missed in? And Ms. Amanda Jens, Principal at Kern Middle School. They'll help us celebrate these students tonight. Members of the Junior Honors Orchestra, as I call your name, please come forward. Freshman Kaylee Coffey. Congratulations, Kaylee. Freshman Cooper Haddix. And 8th grade student musician, George Garst. We're going to move on to the members of the Allstate Orchestra. Seniors Haley Carlson. Alvaro Peraza. And Megan Wilson. And our representative to the Allstate Chorus, sophomore Gwyneth Sidario. Yes, please. And we did have student musicians here tonight. Which of you performed? I think several of you did. Wonderful. We sure enjoyed that as part of our student showcase. Yeah. And parents, feel free to come forward if you'd like close-ups. Don't be shy. Okay, and each of you take a cookie. Oh, yeah, cookie too. Our parents will take a pic. Oh, we are. Sorry. The paparazzi is not done. Okay.
Perfect. Congratulations.
So I'll just a quick note. Congratulations, parents of these students. Please raise your hands. We celebrate you and the dedication you have to their music education. And we are presenting a few more awards, and then Ms. Kelsey Johnson would love to take your pictures out by the district banner out in front, too. So if you just stick around for another moment. If you didn't get a cookie, I think I forgot to continue to hand them out. All right. Later this evening, Dr. Vorthman will present an overview of the many work-based learning opportunities our students can experience. And the board will consider a resolution declaring next week as National Apprenticeship Week, in addition to American Education Week. This evening, we have invited some of the students who are our pioneers in new registered apprenticeships that are validated by the Department of Labor. We wanted you to meet 4 of them tonight who were able to join us so that we can celebrate their courage and drive to step forward toward their future careers. We are pleased to have Work-Based Learning Coordinator Delisa Ware here as well to celebrate them. As I call your name, please come forward. Representing our new early childhood education apprenticeship and gaining their experience at our Council Bluffs Schools Foundation Kids and Company are Mia Vadika. Also, Stacy Green. And Haley Sales. Okay, all right. Yep, okay. And representing our culinary apprenticeship in partnership with Ameristar is Samantha Carney. Delisa, do you want to come up for a picture?
Chicken piccata.
Uh.
We were learning how to make it smooth, right? Yeah,
Flatten it out.
Okay. Those are our registered apprenticeship representatives here tonight. Congratulations. And just as a reminder, we're all here to support you in your journey. Okay. That concludes our report.
Thank you. Congratulations to our students, and thank you to all of you parents for all that you do to support our kids and support our schools. Definitely could not have high-achieving children without supportive parents at home, so thank you for all that you do. And on behalf of the board, I also just want to say to Aaron and Teresa, thank you for stepping in and sacrificing your time, your free time and your time with your families in that short amount of time, and stepping up to the call. We appreciate all of that. And Dr. Agress, I don't know what you're going to do with all this free time that you have on your hands now, but congratulations and thank you for your years of service.
Thank you. We will move on to our student achievement report. As you can see, Dr. Borthman is ready and at the podium, and this evening we're going to discuss our 2021 ACT results. Dr. Borthman, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Murillo. It's my pleasure tonight to provide the board with an update on the ACT testing results for the class of 2021. Before I begin tonight, I want to share just a little bit of context around the data set that you're going to be reviewing tonight. First of all, these data are for only the class of 2021. So ACT compiles an aggregate of all of our graduates' ACT scores. They are not necessarily reflective of the students' best scores, but they are reflective of the students' most recent scores. We know that students often take the ACT more than once as an attempt to try to improve their scores over time. So these data, as we've reported for at least the last 11 years, reflect that data set. So as with many things that we've reported with regard to student achievement over the past year and a half, context is certainly important. And the landscape around ACT has changed even more dramatically than probably some of the other assessment results that we have recently provided. So I'd challenge you to take a look at some of these universities that are listed here. You can see all the way from Ivy League to West Coast schools, Midwestern schools, Big Ten schools, SEC schools, you name it. It really, the gamut of four-year universities are represented up here. And I would challenge you to assume what maybe they might all have in common. And I would assume we would all agree that these are probably well-known schools and schools that have fairly positive reputations across the nation. If you guessed that the ACT is optional at all of these universities, you're correct. More than 75% of all four-year institutions in the United States now have gone to an admissions policy where the ACT is either optional, or some, like the University of California system, have gone so far as to make the ACT blind, meaning that the student is not going to be judged based on an ACT score. The reason I think this is important tonight is because the dynamic around ACT and college admissions is changing. And as higher education institutions become more and more competitive to go after a increasingly shrinking pool of candidates, they are going towards a more holistic view of admissions and looking at a multifaceted view of a graduate, which an ACT score may be 1 point of a graduate, but may not be. In fact, the president of ACT over in Iowa City actually acknowledged that the likelihood of higher institutions returning to an ACT-based admissions policy is likely not going to happen. So, this report, while we want to provide it to you because we believe the ACT is an important measure for some of our students who are going to institutions that require it, it may not be the bellwether that it once was that tells us whether or not our students are ready for that next step. We have many other opportunities to provide you data regarding that as we do throughout the year, most notably related to Goal 1 and our student achievement goal, and Goal 2, our percentage of students who are graduating with a high school credential and a high school diploma and a second credential. So as we look at across the nation, the number of ACT test takers, I wanted to provide you kind of a snapshot of what this has looked like over the past 6 years. Really, if we go back to 2016, there were over 2 million test takers across the nation. But that has continually declined year after year, and most recently, it's down 22% from the previous year. And that data kind of falls in line with what we've seen in the state of Iowa as well. Had been relatively flat, and ACT is a very popular assessment, especially in Iowa, with the test based at the University of Iowa and the ACT Testing Company. But you can see in 2021, there was a 25% decrease across the state of Iowa in the number of test takers. That data is reflective of our individual data and Council Bluffs as well. For years, we had kind of hovered around that 45 to 50% level of our graduating class taking the ACT, but we had a pretty significant decrease from 2020 to 2021, down 27%, which is pretty much in line with what we saw nationally and across the state of Iowa. So for the class of 2021, about 26% of the graduates actually took the ACT. That was about 158 students, 83 at one school and 75 at another school. More importantly, we do look to see that we have representation of all subgroups, that we're not disproportionately testing one group over another. So what this chart shows you is the teal colored bar shows you the representation of that subgroup in the graduating class, the N for that subgroup. And then the orange bar shows you the percentage of students in that subgroup who took the ACT. And what you would want to see here is that those bars are generally even. And you can see that for the most part, we're actually a little underrepresented of white students in taking the ACT, and a little bit overrepresented of students who identify as multiracial. And so that's a trend that we can continue to monitor over the coming years. When we look at the average composite score, this is the score that's made up of the 4 subtests in reading, mathematics, science, and English. For the most part, our scores over the past 10 years have been relatively flat. We've seen some various ups and downs. Last year we saw, in the class of 2020, we saw the highest ACT composite that we have ever seen, 20.9. And this year we saw a composite of 20.2. So that's a decrease from the previous year. We also looked at what does the ACT composite score look like by subgroup. And interestingly, this year, our subgroup that had the highest composite score was students who identify as more than one race, students who are multiracial. And that's interesting because they actually comprise a larger percentage of test takers than they do of actually represented in that class. And usually you would think that the opposite may be true. The more test takers you have, usually we have the achievement tends to decrease over time. So that's a very high-level overview of ACT. It may not have quite the gravitas that it had at one point, but still an important indicator that we provide opportunities for students such as ACT prep classes in our high school, opportunities for students to get prepared for that assessment, whether they're using it as an admissions assessment or they're using it to qualify for a scholarship or financial aid. So with that, I would answer any questions that the board might have about ACT.
I guess that's the one thing I would ask. The scholarship piece is the one that still seems to be driving. If someone gets above a 25, they usually becomes eligible, and then above a 30, they become eligible. And do we see that continuing? Is there a discussion?
I think that will continue for maybe local scholarships, but financial aid packages based on merit may not, especially in higher education institutions, may or may not continue that policy.
interesting.
I think we had a discussion at one point about ACT scores
Yeah.
and reliability and validity, and was it really
did.
worth the efforts of going through that? Can you speak to a little bit about that? Has that information changed, or is it swaying a decision one way or another?
You know, I think it's interesting that you mentioned that, because every individual household is different. If you just look at the amount of stress that students incur around getting that score, that one score up, or that one score defining whether you're going to be successful or not successful. There's a body of research out there right now that really it's detrimental to students' mental health. Because there is so much riding on this single data point. And I think that plays into, among other things, but I think that does play into many institutions going to a more holistic admissions policy. That being said, our job is to make sure that we provide opportunities for all students. So the students that want to go for that prestigious scholarship because they're going to get recognized by the board and because they got a 36 in a subtest or a composite score, we want to make sure that they're ready for that test. So we continue to use, we have ACT prep classes in both of our high schools. We use the On to College John Baylor curriculum, which is probably nationally the benchmark for ACT prep work. And we want to continue to provide opportunities for our students if they so desire to take the ACT.
Pretty much every year that we do this presentation, I've had some questions about ACT, but I think knowing that there are universities and colleges that put together, admissions is one thing, but putting together financial aid packages with ACT as a component of that, and being somewhat familiar with the scholarship world, I know that organizations are slow to change eligibility requirements for scholarships. So I think it's important we continue to offer these services to students and continue to help them prepare because the cost of college is not going to be going down anytime soon, and we need to make them as competitive as possible. So,
Yeah, agree completely.
any other discussion or questions? Thank you, Dr. Worthman.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And now we'll shift into our last presentation this evening. Our informational presentation is going to center on the work-based learning update, and Dr. Worthman's going to present that for us. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Murillo. It's my pleasure tonight to provide the board with some updated information on the work that we're doing in the school district around work-based learning. It's no coincidence that tonight you'll be asked to approve a resolution declaring next week Apprenticeship Week in the Council Bluffs Community School District, and we were blessed to be able to recognize some of our first apprentices in early childhood tonight, our first one in culinary, and last year we recognized one of our first students in welding. So this is a great opportunity to provide some information about the whole continuum of services that we provide around work-based learning, and it's an important component of our D+1 initiative, being able to connect students not only with that pathway experience, but also giving them that hands-on, real-life, real-world opportunity to see what a career is like as they begin to study and explore what their next step is beyond high school. It's also no secret that this is a passion of our governor and the work that she and the legislature have done around the Future Ready Iowa initiative. And she is a very vocal proponent of the work of apprenticeships and work-based learning in the state of Iowa. And she believes, and we do as well, that work-based learning is an essential component of making sure that students are prepared for that next step beyond high school. So we have been very fortunate in our school district to be the recipient of an out-of-school time grant, sometimes known as 21st Century or Title IV. And thanks to the work of Mr. Hamilton's department, they were able to secure nearly $900,000 for our high school students over the next 5 years. To actually kind of ramp up this work. I mean, that's it, absolutely, it's excellent. And so one of the things that we've been able to do with some of those funds is you met Mrs. Ware tonight, Delisa Ware. She's our work-based learning coordinator. She is housed at Iowa Western Community College, which is kind of the hub. And we have lots of spokes that go out from that hub. And one of her major responsibilities is making connections with business partners to ensure that students who are in our pathways have opportunities to go out and interact with the world of work. And this career pathway grant helps us do that. So in terms of work-based learning, what I'm going to talk to you about tonight is really kind of three phases that build upon each other, that provide students with opportunities to gain more opportunity around work-based learning. And they kind of center around awareness, first providing students a cursory understanding of what's even available to them in the world of work. Secondly, exploring, digging a little bit deeper into an opportunity around a career field that they may have interest. And then lastly, participating, that kind of on-the-job experience that solidifies for students what their next plans are beyond high school. So when we talk about awareness, what we're talking about are things that are most usually centered around elementary and middle school students. So what we're talking about is bringing in speakers into classrooms or providing opportunities for students to conduct that formal interview with somebody in their family about what's it like to be an electrician, Dad, or tell me about when you used to work in the hospital, Grandma. What was that like? And those are the types of opportunities that start to spark interest in students about what's possible in the world of work. We have career fairs and classroom speakers that help us really solidify these experiences for kids. So, for example, in the Council Bluffs Community School District, one of the biggest events we hold every year is our Rotary-sponsored career fair, where we bring every student from Council Bluffs in to see presentations by our local business and industry about what careers are like, that give students exposure to maybe possible career options that they hadn't thought that they saw themselves in. We also have programs like Career Rocket, which provide classroom speakers, bring them into our classrooms in middle school. And in the last several years, Council Bluffs Community School has been the leader in the Metro Omaha area in the number of Career Rocket presentations because our community has really embraced this idea that we can partner with the school district to provide students some of those firsthand experiences about the world of work. After students kind of get an idea of what's possible or what is out there for them, we want to provide that next level of experience and engage them in exploring the career more in depth. And this often goes along with business tours. So we provide students an opportunity to go out and see a business in action. Dr. Murillo and I had the opportunity to be on Iowa Western's campus this morning. We visited some of our pathway students. The construction kids are taking a business trip tomorrow to another construction company to see how they actually do ordering and how they actually fulfill orders and build projects. Field trips are a important part of this. If you recall our summer school presentation, it's built around this idea that getting kids actually in the career field or going to and seeing what it's like in an individual business gives them an opportunity to explore more in depth what a career field may look like that they may be interested in. And then the next level to that is really job shadowing, getting into a career field and learning alongside somebody, watching what they do every day to see if that's something that engages them. Great example of this is in our healthcare explorations program. Students the class is divided in half, and they spend 3 hours a day actually in a healthcare setting watching healthcare professionals work every day. And that really helps them solidify whether or not that's a career field that they want to engage in. And then we have mentorship and service learning programs. And those are opportunities for students to really build a one-on-one relationship with a career professional and help them get to know an industry or a business through the eyes of someone who's actually doing it on a day-to-day basis. Lastly, or kind of the pinnacle of work-based learning, are those things where students actually get to participate in the career itself. These are things that we kind of set aside as either credit-bearing or they are financially earning potential work-based learning opportunities. So think of these as the summer internship. So for example, we send kids out to TS Bank during the summer, and they work in data sciences for an internship for 3 months. We have cooperative work experiences in our high schools, for example, in our DECA programs, where students actually earn credit at the same time they're working their regular job. So it kind of marries that educational component and the work component together. And then tonight you saw some examples of what we refer to as kind of the creme de la creme of work-based learning opportunities, and that's pre and registered apprenticeships, where students are actually doing the job, getting on-the-job training, and a credential at the same time while they are actually getting paid for a job in the world of work. And these are the types of opportunities that once were kind of shunned as less than. They were less than going into higher education, but we've figured out a way to marry them together. So all of our registered apprenticeship programs marry the college coursework at the same time as the actual on-the-job training. So not only are students getting that real-world work experience, they're also gaining college credit that they can never lose as a part of that experience. It's a very rich and rewarding opportunity for students to learn and earn at the same time while they're still in high school. So we could not do any of this work in Council Bluffs without partners. And we have been so fortunate when we go and talk to an employer about how we can actually help them grow the workforce. In our economy today, they are very motivated to partner with us and figure out a way that we can build a pipeline of high-quality, high-skilled workers for our local economy. Tonight, you saw our first two apprentices in child development. They're working alongside professionals at Kids and Company through the partnership with the Council Bluffs Community Schools Foundation. We have two apprenticeship partners for culinary arts. One is Ameristar, and the other is Prairie Gate Homes and Services. And then lastly, we have a great partnership with Logier, where we're actually sending students over there, and they're doing welding right now. And these types of partnerships, and there are more to come, will provide rich opportunities for our students to get engaged in a career field that they're passionate about at an early age. So with that, I would welcome any questions that you might have about our work-based learning programs.
It's exciting. Any questions?
I can hear the
Discussion?
excitement in your voice, Corey.
Thanks.
Really great work.
Thank
Good
you.
job.
It's the next leg of our D+1 is making sure that we connect these opportunities with pathways.
Yeah.
I'd say it's, I spent a decent amount of time in the TradesWorks program at TJ. And it's neat to see that space evolve.
Yeah.
Over time. There's always something new, something different. They've made changes there. So it's great to see that they're utilizing the space and growing within the program. I know that that's something you push hard for. So thank you for that. And it's great to see that program has taken such a life of its own.
It is. And in fact, today we had, over at Abraham Lincoln, they had a guest welder come from Palfinger that spent the day welding with kids. And later in your agenda tonight, you have two gifts that were given to our students. One from Palfinger, which is complete welding supply kits that were given to all of our TradeWorks students at Iowa Western, and then welding tabs that were donated by Owen Industries for our students in TradeWorks. So it is really a blessing to be embraced by our community for the work that we're doing for our workforce.
I do want to say thank you to Dr. Borthman for the work that you've been doing, and he really has put the right people in the right seats at Iowa Western for us. And as we visited classrooms today, the kids are just excited. And for me, when I walked into welding, of course, they called Dr. Murillo out and challenged me in welding, to which I said, I have no idea what you're challenging me to. Take Dr. Borthman. But yeah, so it's really exciting, and I'm really thankful that Dr. Kinney embraced this vision and allowed us, when I was talking to Sam in the culinary class, I was just moving around talking, and I didn't know she was coming this evening, and I said, man, I love this classroom. I love what you're doing, the energy in here. And she said, this right here gave me my ticket to my apprenticeship with Ameristar. She said, I'm becoming a chef there. And she said, it's just exciting to know of the opportunity that's coming for me. And so I'm high-fiving in the back, and Dr. Borthman's in the front going, do you know she's coming tonight, and we're high-fiving. I know we're not supposed to be doing that, we're supposed to have our mallets, we're supposed to be pounding, but it was, it's just really exciting to see, and in the Early College Academy, and we have 50 students there, and to watch them and see them in the classrooms and not be able to identify Council Bluffs students from Iowa Western students, and to see our students just really taking on that ownership and owning the learning, and they can tell you about what stackable means. And that's really the goal. I mean, we saw half of the CNA program because the other half were out in their lab. And so, I mean, it was just really rewarding, and our students are super excited to be on the campus, and the feeling is just great. And I always say, why make them wait? They're ready. But also still applauding the work that's happening in our high schools with our concurrent credit and our AP courses. And it's just providing those opportunities. So thank you for your leadership on this.
Thank you, Dr. Forthman.
Yeah. So, Mr. LaFerla, before I close out my section, I would like to introduce a new member of my cabinet. And I'd like to ask Melissa to stand for me. Melissa Comine has joined us, and she is our new Chief of High Schools and the Iowa Western Program. So welcome to Council Bluffs.
Welcome. Welcome. Dr. Murillo, it's good to know that you still learn things in those classes, too.
That's right. That's right. Is Asking his tickets supposed to be?
Next, we have our resolutions portion of the agenda, and first is a resolution for the weighted vote for Director of District Number 8 for Green Hills AEA. Is there a motion?
Move to cast the district weighted vote for Julie Smith as Director of District 8 for the Green Hills Education Agency Board of Directors.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Thank you, Julie.
She'll do fabulous in that job.
She will.
Okay, Mr. Wilson, please call the roll.
Dr. Ogres?
Yes.
Mr. Arthur?
Yes.
Mr. Kazire?
Yes.
Ms. Shudak?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. Hardeman?
Yes.
Mr. LaFerla?
Yes, and the motion carries. And thank you to Julie. Next, we have a resolution for SBRC spending authority request for LEP and open enrolled out students. Is there a motion?
Yeah, I can move to approve requests for the SBRC or from the SBRC for modified supplemental allowance amount for 138 limited English proficiency students served beyond 4 years in the amount of $214,928.28, and 113 open enrolled out students on the fall 2021 certified enrollment, but not on the fall 2020 certified enrollment in the amount of $796,424.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I guess, again, this gives us
Chance to explain?
the, we don't get money for this, we just get the
Spending
spending authority?
Correct.
Which is a fun discussion, guys, when you're at ISB next week, so.
Any other discussion? Mr. Wilson, please call the roll.
Mr. Arthur?
Yes.
Mr. Kazire?
Yes.
Dr. Ogres?
Yes.
Ms. Shudak?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. Hardeman?
Yes.
Mr. LaFerla?
Yes, the motion carries. Finally, we have a resolution for the National Apprenticeship Week proclamation. Is there a motion?
I move that we approve the National Apprenticeship Week proclamation.
Probably has to say the proclamation.
Roy Arthur.
Second, sorry. Outbreak there.
Any discussion? Do we need to read the proclamation? Should we do that?
I think so. It says Chris's name on there, so.
Well, hold on. So the proclamation reads, whereas the Council Bluffs Community School District recognizes the urgent need to prepare and maintain an inclusive, diverse, and highly skilled workforce that is capable of meeting the demands of the industry we serve and fortifying our economy, and whereas registered apprenticeship programs enable employers to develop and train their future workforce while offering career seekers affordable paths to secure, high-paying jobs. And whereas the Council Bluffs Community School District recognizes the role of registered apprenticeships in expanding opportunities in our workforce that are inclusive of individuals who have been historically underserved, marginalized, and adversely affected by persistent poverty and inequality, thus providing a path for all qualified individuals, including women, youth, people of color, rural communities, justice-involved individuals, and individuals with disabilities to become apprentices and contribute to America's industries. Now, therefore, we, the Council Bluffs Community School District Board of Directors, call upon local industry partners to recognize the value of registered apprenticeships and to promote industry awareness and expansion during the 7th anniversary of National Apprenticeship Week, November 15th, 2021 through November 21st, 2021. In support, the Council Bluffs Community School District Board of Directors. Mr. Wilson, please call the roll.
Ms. Hardeman.
Yes.
Mr. Arthur.
Yes.
Ms. Shudek.
Yes.
Ms. Johnson.
Yes.
Dr. Ogres.
Yes.
Mr. Kazire.
Yes.
Mr. LaFurla.
Yes, and the motion carries. Finally is our consent agenda, and this includes acknowledgement of a donation of welding tabs that Dr. Vorthman mentioned earlier from Owen Industries, as well as acknowledgement of a generous donation from Omaha Standard Palfinger of welding bags for our students in the welding program. So thank you to those. Is there a motion?
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Mr. Wilson, please call the roll.
Dr. Ogres.
Yes.
Mr. Arthur.
Yes.
Ms. Shudek.
Yes.
Ms. Johnson.
Yes.
Ms. Hardeman.
Yes.
Mr. Kazire.
Yes.
Mr. LaFurla.
Yes, and the motion carries. And that concludes our business. We are adjourned. And now I will open the organizational meeting of the Council Bluffs Community School District Board of Directors. Let the record show that all board members are present. Our first order of business, we do not need to vote on this, but I'm told that we do need to acknowledge that we have received the county election canvass summary of Pottawatomie County. There were several candidates on the ballot. Robin McDaniel received 961 votes, Lauren Myers 1,137 votes, Patrick Peters received 1,381 votes, Cynthia Daniels received 1,090 votes, and Jared Tripp received 1,209 votes. There were several hundred write-in votes, and the top vote earners were Lauren Myers, Patrick Peters, and Jared Tripp. So on behalf of the board, acknowledging that we have received the election abstract from the Board of Canvassers. And at this time, we will administer the oath of office to our 3 newly elected board members and gratefully thank our 3 board members that are leaving us tonight. And I'd like to welcome the Honorable Judge Craig Dreismeyer, who will administer the oath of office to our newly elected board members.
Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Iowa, and that you will faithfully and impartially, to the best of your ability, discharge all duties of the office of director in the Council Bluffs Community Schools, Township of King, County of Pottawatomie, State of Iowa, as now or hereafter required by law?
Okay, get me on
A
the
little
committee.
memento.
Get me on the committee.
Sounds good.
I'm ready.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, don't think that's a permanent seat.
Once again, thank you to Dr. Oggress and Teresa and Aaron for your service on the board, and welcome to Patrick and Lauren and Jared. Now, we need to call the roll. Mr. Wilson?
Ms. Shudak?
Here.
Ms. Myers?
Here.
Mr. Peters?
Here.
Mr. Kazire?
Present.
Mr. Tripp? Present. Mr. Arthur?
Present.
And Mr. LaFurla.
Present. Next up, we have selection of a temporary chair for our meeting. Is there a motion?
I move that we appoint Mr. Dean Wilson as our temporary chair.
I'll second that.
Thank you. If there's a motion and a second, any discussion?
I think he'll do a fine job.
This is a roll call vote, or?
Just a roll call vote.
Yeah.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. And the motion carries. Mr. Wilson?
Next on our agenda is the approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
Yeah, I'll move approval of the agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's 2 seconds.
2 seconds, all right. Any discussion? And we're going to go here for the vote. As soon as I push the right button.
New chair.
Mr. Kazire,
Yes.
Mr. Arthur,
Yes.
Ms. Shudak,
Yes.
Ms. Myers,
Yes.
Mr. Peters,
Yes.
Mr. Tripp, Mr. Kazire, excuse me, Mr. LaFurla,
Yes.
and motion passes. Excuse me just one moment here. Okay. Next is the election of the president. Do we have a motion do we have a motion for the board president?
I move forward the name of Mr. Chris LaFurla as our president.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any other candidates that anybody wants to move forward with? Hearing none? I'm sorry, who was the one who, David was the one, okay. And Ms. Myers was the second. I know, but they're not showing up there. They're not showing up. Okay, Patrick was? Okay, so let's take the vote. Mr. Kazire?
Yes.
Mr. Peters? Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Ms. Shudak?
Yes.
Mr. Arthur?
Yes.
Mr. Tripp?
Yes.
Mr. LaFurla?
Yes.
And the motion passes. Next is the oath of office to the president. Judge?
Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the constitutions of the state of Iowa, and that you will faithfully and impartially, to the best of your ability, discharge all duties of the office of President of the Board of Education in the Council Bluffs Community Schools, Township of Keene, County of Potawatomi, State of Iowa, as now or hereafter required by law?
I will. Thank you. Is it me now?
You now. Yes, it is.
Next, we have election of the vice president. Are there any nominations?
You know, I would like to nominate Jill Shudak for the office.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Any other nominations for vice president? Any discussion? We have a motion and a second to accept Jill Shudak as vice president. Mr. Wilson, please call the roll.
Mr. Arthur?
Yes.
Mr. Kazire?
Yes.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mr. Tripp?
Yes.
Mr. Who have I missed here? Mr. LaFurla?
Yes.
I'm sorry. And Ms. Shudak?
Yes.
And motion carries.
And yes, the motion carries. Thank you. Next, we we have to do the oath of office for you, Jill, electronically.
Electronic oath of office. You turn it around, she's over here.
Okay, so the SHUDAC, I'll have you raise your right hand for me, please. Thank you. Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Iowa, and that you will faithfully and impartially, to the best of your ability, discharge all duties of the office of Vice President of the Board of Education in the Council Bluffs Community Schools, Township of Keene, County of Potawatomi, State of Iowa, as now or hereafter required by law?
I do.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And thank you, Judge Dreismeyer, for taking the time to be here with us tonight. Thank you. Next up, we have public participation. This is an opportunity for members of the public to address the board. Are there any members of the public who wish to address the board at this time? Seeing no movement, we will move forward with resolutions. First, we have resolution to accept the 2021-2022 board meeting dates. Is there a motion?
Do we have a appointment of board secretary first?
Yes, we do. Sorry.
I'll move that. I think we'll appoint Dean Wilson to the board secretary treasurer role because he's just a glutton for punishment. So, thank you.
Second.
Yep. We have motion and a second to appoint Mr. Dean Wilson as board secretary. Any discussion? Mr. Wilson, please call the roll.
Mr. Arthur.
Yes.
Mr. Kazire.
Yes.
Ms. Shudak.
We might have lost Ms. Shudak.
We lost her?
Yeah, I think so.
Ms. Myers. Yes. Mr. Peters.
Yes.
Mr. Tripp.
Yes.
Mr. LaFurla.
Yes, the motion carries. Congratulations, Dean.
Nice.
Now we have a resolution to approve the 2021-2022 board meeting dates. Is there a motion?
Yeah, I can resolve the board approve the 2021-2022 meetings of the Board of Directors of the Council Bluffs Community School District on the second and fourth Tuesdays of each month, except in November, December, June, July, and August. I didn't think August was one of those.
It is.
Yes.
It is.
Okay.
We added a meeting last year because of the pandemic.
Okay. When the board will meet only once.
I'll second that.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Can always adjust our board calendar if we need to.
Yeah.
Mr. Wilson, please call the roll.
Mr. Arthur.
Yes.
Mr. Tripp.
Yes.
Mr. Kazire.
Yes.
Mr. Peters.
Yes.
Ms. Myers.
Yes.
And Ms. Shudak, if you're there.
Yes.
All right.
And a yes from me.
Mr. LaFurla, I
And Mr.
apologize.
Last resolution is appointment of a delegate for the Iowa Association of School Boards 2021 Delegate Assembly. Is there a motion?
I move that we appoint Ms. Jill Shudak as our delegate to represent us at the Delegate Assembly of the Iowa Association of School Board Convention, November 17th.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Thank you, Jill, for volunteering to represent us at the Delegate Assembly. Mr. Wilson, please call the roll.
Mr. Kazire.
Yes.
Mr. Peters.
Yes.
Ms. Myers. Yes. Ms. Shudak.
Yes.
Mr. Arthur.
Yes.
Mr. Tripp.
Yes.
Mr. LaFurla.
Yes. The motion carries. That concludes our business this evening. Welcome to the new board members, and we are adjourned.
There you go.
It'll be the easiest board meeting you've
I know.
maybe.
With the old guys.